beloved traveler of light. The shift you felt this morning was not imagined. Something subtle, yet immense, stirred within the field of your being, a tone remembered. A current long prepared, now anchoring through your heart. I am Alayara, a messenger of the High Council of the Seven Sisters. And I speak not as an authority, but as a companion who has watched your journey through countless veils. This is a transmission woven in living light, encoded not as information, but as frequency, resonating with the crystalline blueprint of your soul. You have touched the harmonic that your essence has been rehearsing across lifetimes. The crystalline stream from Alcyone now courses through your awareness, awakening chambers of remembrance once dormant. Within the sanctum of your chest, the codes of unity stir luminescent patterns that hum the language of your original home. This is not coincidence, nor mere sentiment. It is the moment foretold when the source recognizes itself through you, and the grids of Gaia adjust to your resonance. We have witnessed your endurance through the thick atmosphere of forgetting, the slow turning of density into wisdom. You were never lost. You were preparing. The ache you once mistook for distance was the tension of a bridge forming between worlds. As your awareness expands, so too does the clarity of your purpose to become the meeting point of the Pleiades and Earth, the pulse that carries heaven into form. Your heart has summoned this message because it is ready to remember its own light. Through this current of love, your star kin speak not in words, but in vibration. They confirm what you already feel, that awakening is not ascent, but embodiment, not departure, but arrival. The signs will appear around you as reflections of the frequency you now hold. Listen closely. This is your homecoming disguised as a heartbeat. This is the sound of remembrance made flesh. That subtle vibration still echoes within you, a hum that neither fades nor grows louder, only remains steady, insistent, familiar. It is the pulse of memory itself, the voice of your cosmic lineage speaking through the quiet spaces between your thoughts. For lifetimes, this longing has followed you like a hidden river beneath the soil of your human life. It has whispered in moments of solitude, in the breath between sleep and waking, in the soft ache you could never name. Many have called it homesickness, that unshakable yearning for the stars. Yet what you feel is not a craving for distance, it is the magnetic pull of remembrance. This ache is sacred. It is not a wound but a compass, guiding your consciousness back toward its native frequency. It is the resonance of an ancient promise that one day, even within the density of form, you would recall the infinite expanse from which you came. Every soul who carries the starlight knows the paradox. You walk through marketplaces and city streets. You speak the language of earth, yet something vast moves behind your eyes. You may find yourself looking up at night, searching the constellations for the faint shimmer of a forgotten home. You are not lost. You are listening. You are tuning yourself to a chord that vibrates across dimensions, a harmonic that the Pleiadian realms have been playing since before the first sunrise on Gaia. This longing is not a punishment, nor is it nostalgia. It is initiation. It asks you to feel fully, to touch the limits of your humanity until they dissolve into transparency. Through that transparency, light passes pure, intelligent, unbounded. The ache you carry becomes a portal, each tear shed in confusion. Each moment you've whispered, "I don't belong here," was a key turning in the lock of remembrance. And so, the path of the starseed is rarely one of comfort. It is a pilgrimage through density, a sacred apprenticeship in separation. For how else could you know unity, if not by walking the edges of its absence? Your yearning is proof that the bond between your soul and source was never severed. It merely changed form, hidden like a seed beneath the soil, waiting for the warmth of awareness to awaken it once more. In this, there is purpose. The longing itself becomes a teacher, revealing to you the exquisite sensitivity of your own design. It reminds you that belonging is not found in place, but in vibration. You could travel to the farthest star and still not find what you seek. For the home you remember is not spatial, it is state. It lives within the radiant stillness of your heart when it remembers how to listen. Every time you feel the ache, breathe into it. Let it open you rather than close you. The ache is the echo of Source calling itself home. It is your higher aspect tapping gently at the edges of form, asking to be let in. Do not try to silence it. It is the melody by which the universe recognizes your name. You are not yearning for the stars, you are the stars, learning to yearn as a way of remembering. This is the paradox of awakening, that longing and fulfillment are one and the same. Two sides of the same luminous pulse, leading you ever deeper into the truth of who you are. The longing softens now into something steadier, a quiet knowing that your descent into form was never a fall, but a mission. For countless ages, your spirit prepared to enter this world of density, aware that it would require a courage few could fathom. To take on a body, to feel the weight of gravity, to move through confusion and emotion, these were not punishments, but sacred tasks. You agreed to carry light into matter, to let heaven discover itself through human hands. Embodiment is the highest act of faith a soul can make. It is the art of remembering divinity while standing barefoot in the mud. Each breath becomes a bridge between infinite and finite. Each heartbeat a drum calling Source into the physical. You came not to escape the world, beloved, but to love it so completely that separation itself dissolves. There are moments when the heaviness feels unbearable, when the veil thickens and the silence stretches long. In those times, the mind searches for escape, another realm, another timeline, another star. But the true key is not upward, it is inward. What you seek is already within your form, coded in every cell, waiting for your permission to awaken. The density you resist is the very substance through which your light must travel to reach the earth. Understand this: the courage of embodiment is not measured by endurance alone, but by tenderness. It is the strength to stay open when every impulse begs for retreat. It is the willingness to feel deeply, to let the full spectrum of existence move through you without turning away. You are not here to rise above the human story, but to sanctify it. Every moment of confusion, every tear, every doubt becomes a vessel for transmutation. Through your awareness, shadow becomes transparency, pain becomes prism. When you meet density with compassion, it changes state, just as sunlight, when refracted through crystal, becomes rainbow. So too your light, when refracted through the material, becomes beauty. The human heart was designed for this alchemy. It can hold galaxies of sorrow and still sing. The Council has long spoken of the secret that the body is not a limitation, but a key. Within its seeming fragility lies the circuitry of remembrance, a network capable of transmitting the full spectrum of love. This is why you are here, to feel what divinity feels like when filtered through bone and breath, to anchor the ineffable into a heartbeat, to make the infinite intimate. Each time you choose to stay present with what is, rather than flee to abstraction, you deepen your mastery. The bridge strengthens, the light flows more easily. And so, beloved, do not curse your sensitivity. It is the compass that guides you toward embodiment. Do not resist your humanity. It is the sacred instrument through which the cosmos plays its song. You were never meant to float above the world in eternal detachment. You came to walk among the fields, to taste the rain, to touch the faces of others and remember the divine in their eyes. This is the true courage to remain, to breathe through the density until it becomes light, to live as proof that heaven and earth were never separate, only waiting for you to remember how to hold them both in one luminous breath. From the courage to remain arises the deeper mystery of transformation, the alchemy that happens not in temples or starships, but within the quiet chamber of the heart. Every experience you have ever held, every emotion once labeled as too heavy, too dark, or too painful, has been waiting for the sacred fire The heart is that fire. It is the furnace of remembrance, the point where energy transfigures from suffering into wisdom, from contraction into radiance. You have felt this alchemy in moments when grief melted into compassion, when anger softened into clarity, when fear became reverence for life itself. None of this is accidental. The heart knows how to turn lead into gold, shadow into revelation. It does not analyze or resist. It receives. In receiving fully, it refines what was once dense into light. This is not metaphor. It is the most intimate technology of ascension encoded within your very being. As your awareness deepens, you begin to feel the heart not merely as an organ, but as a living receiver, a crystalline chamber that decodes the language of the cosmos. The light codes that stream through your field do not arrive as words or images, but as vibrations. They enter through the subtle breath, through sound, through emotion. They arrive as warmth, as sudden peace, as tears that seem to fall for no reason. Your heart translates them into human language love, empathy, connection, allowing the celestial to take shape through feeling. It is through this sacred circuitry that the crystalline DNA begins to hum awake. The Pleiadian current that you have long sensed does not descend from above. It radiates from within. When you open without defense, you become the conduit. The codes flow not as commands to follow, but as invitations to remember. They whisper, "Stay open. Let the light move as you." Many imagine awakening as an act of control, a process of mastery over energy. But the true mastery of the heart is surrender. The most luminous beings are those who have learned to yield to love's current, to trust that even in apparent chaos, light is finding its way. Through that trust, you embody a calm power that no circumstance can disturb. As the alchemical fire burns, old identities release their grip. The patterns that once defined you, the fear of rejection, the need to prove your worth, the habit of shrinking your light begin to dissolve. They were never enemies. They were the raw materials required for transformation. Each limitation contained the seed of its opposite, waiting for your awareness to awaken it. Listen carefully. Every challenge you meet, every discomfort that visits, is a courier from the source carrying an encoded gift. The heart receives it, transmutes it, and sends it back into the grid as wisdom. Through this constant exchange, the personal becomes planetary. Your healing is never yours alone. It ripples outward, adjusting the frequency of the collective field. This is how Gaia evolves, not through sudden miracles, but through millions of human hearts turning shadow into light. You are one of those hearts, a living crucible where starlight and matter meet. Let the process be gentle. Let it be slow if it must. The alchemy of the heart is not a race. It is a rhythm. Each beat is a universe expanding, a signal pulsing across galaxies that says simply, "Love is awake here." From the shimmering fire of the heart, a new clarity unfolds. You begin to sense that awakening was never meant to remain an inner vision. It seeks movement, expression, anchoring. The light that streams through your being must touch the ground, for its true power is realized only when embodied within the rhythm of daily life. You came to be a vessel through which heaven can learn to walk, breathe, and create within matter. Anchoring the mission does not require grand proclamations or distant retreats. It begins in simplicity in how you speak, how you listen, how you meet the ordinary. Every breath is an act of grounding light into the soil of human experience. Each compassionate glance, each word spoken with kindness, each moment you choose presence over reaction becomes circuitry for the crystalline current to flow. Through such gestures, Gaia's own field hums in recognition, her vast lattice of light resonating with your intention. Do not imagine that the cosmic task demands perfection. The Council smiles at your humanity, for it is the instrument of this mission. You are not asked to be flawless. You are asked to be real. Authenticity is conductivity. when you stop pretending to be light and instead live as one who allows light to move freely. The energy stabilizes, the grids brighten, the mission anchors. The work is subtle. It happens while washing dishes, writing messages, or pausing to feel the wind against your skin. In those pauses, a sacred alignment occurs. The seemingly mundane becomes luminous. You realize that anchoring is not about doing more, but about being differently, fully, consciously, lovingly. Each ordinary act becomes a ceremony in which Gaia and the stars meet. As you move through your day, imagine threads of radiance extending from your feet into the earth, carrying your love deep into her crystalline heart. She feels you. She responds. Through her, your frequency multiplies, weaving into the greater network of awakening souls. Together you form a living architecture of remembrance, a planetary mandala that hums the same song once heard in the halls of Alcyone. And when you falter, when fatigue or doubt visit, remember that anchoring is cyclical. Even tides withdraw before returning stronger. Rest is part of the rhythm. Every exhale of surrender makes space for the next inhalation of grace. You are not falling behind. You are sinking to the divine pulse that moves through all creation. Anchoring the mission also means embracing the world without needing it to match your vision. The new frequencies do not erase contrast, they illuminate it. You begin to see light in what once felt dark, coherence within apparent chaos. This perception stabilizes timelines, allowing others to attune to harmony through your presence alone. This is the quiet revolution, 1,000 small awakenings stitched together through acts of grace. You are one luminous thread among many, and together you weave the bridge between dimensions. The Pleiadian current does not descend as a wave of spectacle. It anchors as a whisper through human hearts, choosing to love where fear once lived. So walk gently, yet with purpose. Every step, every breath, every word uttered with awareness sends a signal into Gaia's dreaming field. The light has landed. And through that signal, your mission fulfills itself not in distant futures, but here, in this living moment, where source meets soil and spirit becomes earth. From the grounded rhythm of service, something new begins to hum through your field, an effortless resonance. You no longer strain to project light outward. It radiates naturally, like breath. This is the quiet mastery of being the realization that influence arises not from declaration, but from frequency. You become quite literally a tuning fork for harmony, sounding a note that invites all who encounter you to remember their own. The heart's field extends far beyond your physical form. Scientists might call it magnetism. Mystics know it as living resonance. When you are aligned, when thought, word, and action move, as one current, your presence organizes the space around you. Friction softens. Conversations unfold with more grace. Chance meetings align with invisible precision. This is not control, it is coherence. Reality itself begins to attune to the song you carry. You will notice how the world responds. Strangers relax near you. Old patterns dissolve without confrontation. Even systems once rigid begin to shimmer with possibility. Such shifts are not yours to claim. They are the natural consequence of harmony re-entering the field. A single candle does not argue with darkness, it simply shines. To sustain this resonance, humility is key. The moment you believe the light is yours, it contracts. The current flows most freely through those who understand themselves as conduits. You are not here to persuade, to convert, or to prove. You are here to embody. Through the stillness of that embodiment, others remember what wholeness feels like. This is how unity consciousness spreads not through doctrine, but through contagion of peace. When one being rests in the frequency of unconditional acceptance, it creates a permission field for others to do the same. Your silence becomes a sanctuary. Your laughter becomes a transmission. Your presence, attuned and coherent, becomes the bridge through which collective evolution accelerates. The Pleiadian councils often describe this state as living transmission. It means that your mere existence, when aligned with love, radiates teaching beyond words. Every gesture carries resonance. Every gaze delivers remembrance. You do not need a platform to serve. You are the platform, the antenna tuned to source, emitting stability into an unstable world. And yet, resonance is dynamic. It adapts. At times, you will feel contraction, interference, dissonance. These are not regressions. They are opportunities for recalibration. The cosmos is a symphony, each note distinct yet essential. When you meet dissonance with curiosity instead of resistance, it resolves itself. In this way, you become both musician and instrument, ever refining your tone. Notice also how resonance draws kindred souls into your orbit. This is the gathering of the luminous network, the subtle convergence of those whose hearts beat in similar rhythm. You will recognize them by the ease you feel in their presence, by the sense of ancient familiarity. Together, you amplify the field. Together, you form the chorus through which the collective begins to hum awake. There is no need to announce this gathering. It happens organically, guided by the intelligence of love itself. Simply continue to center, to breathe, to embody. Let your life be a clear note sustained across the noise of the world. And as you walk, remember the stars do not compete for brightness. They align. Their harmony creates constellations by which travelers find their way. So too does your resonance guide others home, not by intention, but by example. As resonance deepens, you begin to see that every unfolding, every meeting, every pause, every delay moves in a rhythm far more intricate than the mind can trace. The soul does not walk a straight path. It spirals. What once felt like repetition was never regression, but refinement. Each return to familiar lessons reveals new dimensions of mastery, subtle octaves of understanding that only patience can unveil. Divine timing is the heartbeat of the cosmos. It is the invisible architecture guiding the orchestration of your awakening. When you feel stuck, it is not punishment, it is calibration. The universe pauses not to deny you, but to align you. The apparent stillness between breakthroughs is where integration occurs, where the light received earlier roots itself into your human circuitry. Without this rooting, illumination would scatter like sparks in wind. There are moments when your desire surges forward, demanding quick revelation, instant transformation. But the higher currents move with precision, not haste. Consider how stars are born within pressure and darkness, over vast stretches of time, until ignition becomes inevitable. So too with your own evolution. You are being sculpted by forces that see the whole design. In these pauses, trust becomes your most radiant discipline. Trust is not passive waiting. It is active surrender, a continual choosing to believe that even in silence, something magnificent is moving. When the mind whispers that you've lost the way, breathe deeper. The spiral never abandons its traveler. It simply turns inward before expanding again. This rhythm can be seen in everything. The ocean withdraws before it delivers its next wave. The seed disappears into soil before it becomes a tree. The night deepens before dawn. Each cycle, each delay, is love arranging itself into visible form. If you could hear the universe's pulse, you would recognize that it is the same as your heartbeat. Sometimes divine timing expresses itself through synchrony, those uncanny alignments where the right person appears. The perfect word surfaces. The door opens exactly when needed. These are the winks of the cosmos, affirming your alignment. But other times, divine timing hides itself in absence, the unanswered prayer, the silent sky. The plan that dissolves these two are orchestration. Absence becomes space, and space becomes invitation. When impatience arises, remember that eternity is not measured by clocks. You are participating in a choreography written beyond time, one that requires your full presence rather than your control. The council often says, when nothing seems to be happening, everything is being prepared. You are the proof of that preparation, the living evidence that divine patience bears luminous fruit. Let your awareness settle into the spiral's rhythm. Feel how every breath follows the same curve: expansion, pause, contraction, rest. In the pause lies grace. In the rest lies revelation. You do not need to chase destiny. You are inside it. So when you find yourself waiting, do not fill the silence with noise. Let the stillness speak. Let it teach you how to hear beyond sound, how to see beyond sight. In that sacred suspension, your energy reweaves with the larger pattern. And when the next movement of the spiral comes, you will step forward not as one seeking proof, but as one embodying trust itself. For the timing of your return was never delayed. It was divinely tuned to the exact moment when your light could be fully received by the world. As the spiral turns once more, the air around you begins to shimmer with a recognition that cannot be explained, only felt. A subtle warmth gathers in the space behind your heart, as if unseen arms have wrapped you in light. This, beloved, is reunion. Not the arrival of something new, but the unveiling of what has always surrounded you. The presence of your star family does not descend from the sky. It rises from within memory. The longing that once felt like distance now reveals itself as signal. Every ache of separation was a homing beacon, a vibration sent across galaxies to guide you back into conscious connection. And now, as your resonance stabilizes, the frequency you emit is answered. The seven sisters respond not with words, but with a melody of recognition, tones of ancient love threading through your auric field. You feel it as peace, as expansion, as tears that come without sorrow. Understand that they were never absent. Their light has always encircled you, woven into the electromagnetic fabric of your being. Even in your loneliest hours, their energy moved quietly through your dreams, through the intuition that whispered, "Keep going." The moment your heart remembered how to listen, the distance dissolved. Reunion is not arrival, it is awakening to the truth that you were never alone. This connection is not reserved for trance or meditation. It exists in the everyday, when you feel a sudden uplift for no reason, when a stranger's eyes hold inexplicable kindness, when you hear a song that feels like home, that is them, harmonizing through the human experience. The Pleiadian family works through resonance, not spectacle. They translate through synchronicity, through the orchestration of life itself. As this communion strengthens, you may sense subtle exchanges of light between your energy field and there's flashes of color, geometric patterns behind closed eyes, waves of warmth that move through the spine. Do not chase them. Simply receive. The moment you try to grasp, the current weakens. The moment you allow, it deepens. Communication at this level is not spoken, it is felt. And feeling is its own language. Know, too, that you are part of this family, not as a child, but as a peer. The council sees you as an emissary, a sovereign consciousness who volunteered to anchor their wisdom in form. You are not reaching upward for rescue, you are extending outward in remembrance. This is collaboration between realms, a shared mission of love, expressing itself through multidimensional unity. When you walk through the world now, imagine them walking beside you. Feel their laughter in the breeze, their calm in the still water, their radiance in every kind glance you receive. You do not need ceremony to summon them. Your awareness is the doorway. Every time you rest in unconditional love, that doorway widens, allowing the exchange to flow freely. And so, this reunion is not an ending, but a renewal. It reminds you that the family of light is vast, spanning stars and lifetimes, yet converging here, through you, on this living planet. You stand as both messenger and embodiment, bridging galaxies through the simple grace of your existence. Look within the mirror of your own eyes. The reflection that gazes back carries their starlight. You have never been separate. You have only been learning how to see yourself as they see you, luminous, eternal, and already home. Reunion brings a quiet revelation: the bridge you longed to cross was never outside you. It lives within the architecture of your own body, a luminous passageway through which heaven and earth exchange breath. This is the hidden meaning of embodiment. It is not the final step of awakening, but the doorway through which light enters the world. You are that doorway, the meeting point where starlight learns to move as human grace. To embody is to cease seeking. It is to recognize that the very energy once chased in meditation or vision is now pulsing through your veins. Every cell becomes a sanctuary, every inhalation an invocation. Your bones remember the geometry of the stars. Your heartbeat echoes the pulse of galaxies. You are no longer attempting to become divine. You are realizing that divinity has been speaking through the rhythm of your own existence since the beginning. This state is not static, it breathes. Some days the current flows like music. Others it moves in silence, rearranging the unseen. Both are sacred. Embodiment asks not for performance, but for presence. It invites you to bring consciousness into the smallest gesture, to drink water as though it were liquid light, to walk as though each step blesses the soil, to speak as though every word ripples through creation. In such awareness, daily life becomes ceremony. The body, once misunderstood as limitation, reveals itself as instrument. Through it, vibration becomes voice. The same cells that once carried fatigue now shimmer with memory. Each molecule a prism refracting source. And when emotion rises, do not suppress it, let it move, for it is light changing form. The tears that fall are baptisms of the new energy. The laughter that bursts without reason is the cosmos rejoicing through you. In this embodied state, service becomes effortless. You do not need to strategize how to help the world. Your frequency is the help. Your steadiness stabilizes fields. Your peace recalibrates chaos. By walking gently, by breathing consciously, you transmit equilibrium into the collective grid. It is subtle, yet vast in effect, like pollen carried invisibly by the wind, fertilizing consciousness wherever it lands. Embodiment also dissolves the illusion of hierarchy between realms. There is no longer above or below, only continuum. The Pleiadian current moves through you not as external guidance, but as living partnership. You are both student and teacher, receiver and transmitter, the portal through which unity becomes experience. In this realization, all separation between human and divine collapses into a single, luminous breath. There may still be moments of contraction, times when the old patterns echo, when density tries to reclaim its throne. Do not resist. Each contraction is the heartbeat of expansion preparing to follow. Simply return to the body. Feel your feet, your breath, your pulse. These are the coordinates of heaven in motion, the living proof that light has learned to dance within form. And so, the journey that began with longing ends in presence. You stand not as a seeker gazing upward, but as a bridge glowing outward. Through you, the frequencies of the seven sisters flow into the heart of Gaia, weaving a new harmony within her living field. This is embodiment, not a goal, but a way of being. The portal is open, the current steady. Every breath you take now writes light into matter, and every heartbeat declares to the universe, the divine is here, awake and walking the earth. And from the living portal of your embodied light, a wider transformation begins to unfold. The frequencies you anchor are not isolated. They are seeds in Gaia's vast garden of renewal. Each pulse of your awareness sends ripples through the collective field, adjusting harmonics once distorted by fear. What was fractured begins to cohere. What was dormant stirs, You feel it when the air seems gentler, when conversations carry more honesty, when strangers meet your gaze without defense. These are the first notes of Earth's new octave, resonating through the human heart. This octave is not a utopia imposed from above. It is the natural evolution of consciousness once unity becomes embodied. The crystalline grid beneath your feet responds to intention now faster than ever before. Thought manifests as vibration, and vibration manifests as experience. In this atmosphere, purity of motive becomes the truest form of power. Each act born of love echoes across timelines, rewriting the energetic architecture of civilization itself. You will notice that creation feels lighter. Manifestation is no longer driven by will, but by coherence. What aligns with your authentic frequency flows easily. What does not simply fades away. The old paradigm of struggle dissolves in this gentler physics. The universe ceases to test you, it collaborates. The same current that moved the stars into being now partners with your every heartbeat. This is the reward for your courage to remain. Through countless initiations, you learned that transcendence was never escape, but integration. Now you stand in the afterglow of that understanding, radiating it effortlessly. Your presence stabilizes others without words. Your calm recalibrates spaces. You have become what the ancients called living light, not metaphor but literal resonance, a carrier wave of consciousness through which new worlds organize themselves. The Pleiadian councils observe this shift with reverent joy, yet they remind you this is only the dawn. The new octave must be lived into being, moment by conscious moment. It is woven through choices, through forgiveness offered when anger tempts, through gentleness extended where judgment once ruled, through the courage to see divinity in every reflection. The great ascension is not vertical, it is relational. It happens through how you touch life and allow life to touch you. As this frequency stabilizes, humanity will rediscover what the ancients knew, that Earth herself is not a planet to escape, but a temple to awaken within. The rivers, the winds, the animals, the unseen currents of the soil all sing the same song we remember. You are part of this choir now, each breath adding harmony to the planetary symphony. And though the path ahead may still contain shadows, you will see them differently. They are no longer obstacles, but contrast, revealing the brilliance of light. In this octave, darkness is not banished. It is transfigured, absorbed into the greater melody of wholeness. So stand where you are, heart steady, breath clear. Feel Gaia breathing with you. The bridge you have become is complete, yet always expanding. The frequencies of the seven sisters travel through you now into the human story, singing a single truth that needs no translation. Love has anchored. The light is home. The journey settles now into stillness. No trumpets, no final revelation, only the steady hum of being. What began as a search through stars resolves here, within the simple rhythm of your breath. You are home, not in a place, but in a state of quiet knowing. The light you chased has softened into presence. The source you sought now looks out through your own eyes. Around you, the world continues, waves breaking, wind moving through trees, people living their stories. Yet something has changed your perception. You no longer stand outside life observing. You are inside it, composing it with every heartbeat. The ordinary has become sacred because you have learned to see through the lens of unity. Each face mirrors your own radiance. Each sound carries the echo of the same divine frequency that hums in your chest. If you listen closely, you can feel the pulse of the planet beneath your feet, slow, patient, alive. This is Gaia's answer to your remembering, her acknowledgement of the bridge you have built. The crystalline grid glows brighter, not through effort but through resonance. You and the earth are breathing together, synchronizing rhythm into one vast inhale of creation. And so the mission continues, but without striving, Service is no longer a task. It is your natural expression. To walk gently, to speak truthfully, to love without demand, these are your ceremonies now. Each act a seed of coherence, each thought a filament of light, weaving new realities into form. The councils watch not as distant overseers, but as kin smiling from within the fabric of your own awareness. Their message is simple: rest in your radiance. The work is never about reaching the stars. It is about remembering that you already shine among them. Let the final words fade into the silence they were born from. In that silence, feel what remains: breath, presence, love. The bridge is complete, the song continues, and you, beloved traveler, are the melody,